Trayston Shepard declined to speak with us on camera because he says he and his friends are getting threats.
We did no wrong here, and we don't understand how we're getting so much hate behind it. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die.
Evan posted that photo on Sunday, July 5th, okay, at 3:47 p.m. I have the original screenshot and it's time stamped. So this right here is public information, all right, on Judge Ashlee Cole, Court District of Mississippi. She was elected to the bench in 2022, having his phone when his body was found. He explained that it was very common for teens to leave their phones in boats while on Horn Island. Listen to this. This is something they're not telling you in the big media. This is what this kid says. All our friends are out there. Who are we communicating with? We're all out there. When Nolan got in the water, he put his phone on the boat dash. Also, with probably 15 other phones, he said. There is a new picture of Nolan Wells in a pool. I know you guys have been waiting for me to tell you what I think about this picture. And not only that, try and find out if this picture is real or fake. And that's what I'm doing right now. Plus, there was an interview, I should say an interview, but a video that was done by a judge who was retired out of Mississippi. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of tidbits of what he said that makes sense. And I'm going to tell you why it makes sense. Plus, the timeline of Nolan Wells. What about the timeline? The times of this, times of that. We're not getting the timelines correct. Stay tuned, Fugitive TV. Welcome to Fugitive TV, and I am your host, Ray Marcel. And what we do here is we take a look at cases of missing individuals, anything true crime, and I try and give you a different perspective, a much deeper look than what big media gives you. And I try and give you a different look at some of these cases because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I was on the run for 15 years, living in different countries under different names, and eventually I turned myself in. So now I have this YouTube channel, I'm a motivational speaker. I hope family members locate missing individuals or even other fugitives because I know what it's like to vanish. I know what it takes. So that's the reason why I can give you a different perspective on things. Well, we're going to continue with Nolan Wells. I already done a few videos on her. I did a few lives with him, some interviews. Well, there is a picture that came out, all right? And some of you guys sent me the picture of him being in a pool. So we're going to talk about that picture. Plus, some people have emailed me claiming they have either been around or been close to the situation. You guys will be shocked at some of these emails that I get. So I'm going to read some of these to you and let you know what some of these actually said. And we're going to talk about some things that either don't make sense or do make sense. So first, let's get into the picture. Okay. We're going to get into the picture and we're going to try and figure out the timeline of exactly where this picture came from, because there's a bunch of rumors. This case is a bunch of she said, he said. It's a lot of that floating around. So I know it's hard for some creators to figure out what's real and what's fake, because for you guys that don't know, to do these videos, it takes a lot of time to research this stuff. It takes time. We're talking about hours out of your day. For some people that have full-time jobs like me, I have to go out and run a company and then come back and do research and do this, do this channel. It takes a lot of time. So I can understand for some people to don't have the time or don't even know how to try and dig through all the crap that's out there. All right. But this picture right here, okay, of him in the pool. So this picture was put out, and apparently this picture was put out with a bunch of other pictures. It was in a slide. All right. And since it was in a slide, there's more than one picture. Well, the individual that put this picture out allegedly went back and erased the picture of Nolan that's in the pool. Now, we don't know 100% if that is Nolan. We don't know. Just like there's a guy that came out, one of Nolan's friends, saying that The person that was yelling in the original video, "Give me my effing keys," that's not Nolan. Apparently, that's this person's voice. We're going to talk about that too, because now we don't know what is what. But we don't know if this picture is really Nolan. We really don't. We can't 100% say that's him. It looks like him. It resembles him, but we really don't know yet. All right. But apparently, this is Nolan allegedly in the pool. Now, when this picture came out, people were emailing me, people were sending me messages saying, "Oh my God, this picture came out at 1 o'clock in the morning, July 5th. This photo's from 1 o'clock in the morning, July 5th. And at first I'm like, oh my God. So that means he went back to the house. And then I was like, whoa, hold on. Wait. We're forgetting the timeline, people. We're forgetting the timeline. Because if this picture was apparently from 1 in the morning, July 5th, then that means that when his mom reported him missing at around 11 something at night, which is before 1 a.m. July 5th, then that means he really wasn't missing. So either he really wasn't missing and he's at this pool party, which wouldn't make sense, or this picture was taken before he went missing. But when was this picture taken? First of all, let's get into where this 1 a.m. came from. All right. We're going to get into that right now. Now, we don't know if this is true, but I'm going to read to you what this individual says. All right. Now, this is a post on Instagram. So bear with me while I read this because the grammar is not the best. So bear with me, okay? It says, "Bro, No didn't get into a fight at the island. It was our other friend, No and Wyatt." Now, I guess No is Nolan. So I guess they're referring to Nolan and they're calling him No. So, bro, Nolan didn't get into a fight at the island. It was our other friend, Nolan and Wyatt, did get into an altercation right after that. So I think it's supposed to be two different sentences right here. All right. They just didn't separate it. So they're saying Nolan didn't get into a fight at the island. They're saying Nolan and Wyatt did get into an altercation right after that. Not even 10 minutes later, because Wyatt took his phone and even was trying to be hard. Nolan was definitely screaming, "Give me my effing phone back." And then said the N-word. "N, what's wrong with you?" So they all calmed down. So that's when we had to Evan's house because he was throwing a pool party. So yes, Nolan came to the party and yes, we was drinking, but Wyatt and Evan and Morgan and Andrew was really high. And I think they was trying to get Lucy and Natalie to try some as well. But yes, they got into it again. So this person's saying that they went to the pool party and there was some narcotics involved, and these people are trying to get people to take the narcotics. That's what this post is saying, okay? We don't know if this is true or not, but once they started fighting, it was Andrew, and even Wyatt and Warren was basically recording and laughing, saying, get him, and all I could hear was No screaming, who was Nolan, "Mom." So yes, I tried helping them. His mom come out screaming, yelling drunk, make us leave, and was saying she was going to call the cops on us if we didn't leave her house. But they didn't let Nolan leave, and Nolan was about by the basketball goal that was inside the pool. He was leaning over beside it, gasping for air and spitting up blood. But now his mom, "No, I just got off the phone with her." So he's saying he called the mom and was on the phone. That's what this person's saying. Called the mom and got on the phone. So if they called the mom and got on the phone, why is the mom calling the law enforcement to say he's missing? So that part doesn't add up. Now, the whole beginning of it, you're like, okay, I can go along with this. But then when he says, I called Nolan's mom, that part doesn't add up. So if this is a pool party and it happened that night, then what time was this pool party? Was this before Coast Guard was called? This was before Nolan's mom had to go retrieve the phone? Because let's not forget, Nolan's mom's friend went and got the phone. They got the phone back at 11:45 or 11:55. Let me know below what time it was. But it was 11 something. So Nolan was at this pool party without his phone? Let's make this make sense. Or was this way earlier in the day? What time did they actually leave the island? What time did the boys actually leave the island to go back? Did they leave earlier and went back and had the pool party earlier? See, that's the thing right there, guys, is where all these rumors come about. Because you will read this, right? You'll read everything the statement says. But, and the problem is, in the middle of this statement or this post, it says, this is where the 1 a.m. comes from. It says, and Natalia tries some as well. But yes, they got into it again at the party. It didn't end until almost 1 a.m. That's where the 1 a.m. comes from this post. But if you're just reading this and you don't remember what happened before, or don't know what happened before, you're thinking, oh my God, Nolan was at the pool party at 1 a.m. Yeah, something happened to him. That's where it happened at. And then everything spreads on TikTok, rumors. But you got to remember what happened before. You got to remember the mom reported him missing. The mom had to search the phone down an hour before 1 a.m. You got to remember this. So that's why it doesn't add up. So is this person telling the truth some sort of way and they don't know their own timeline? Or is this person lying? The problem is we know one's a lie, maybe, about them talking about I spoke to Nolan's mom. Nolan and mom didn't say this. Unless she knows something that we don't know and they're not saying that. That's the only thing I can think about, which could be possible. Unless she really does know, and maybe this happened earlier in the day, and we don't know. We don't know. But let me show you this. All right, let's take a look at this right here. So this is, for you guys that don't know, Instagram has, it's almost like a secondary page. So you have your Instagram page, which gives you your feeds, and everybody knows about that, right? But then Instagram has Instagram Threads, okay? Instagram Threads is like a secondary thing. So you can go on Instagram and post, but then you can go on Instagram Threads and post something else. So this was also posted on Instagram Threads, all right? Now, you can see who it was posted by, and you see the pictures, right? You see his name, but if you look by his name, it says 1W. That's showing that these pictures were posted a week ago. That's what it shows on the threads. So it is very possible that that pool picture could have been posted or could have been taken a week before 4th of July. It's possible, all because of that 1W that's up there. Now you look down here at this post. So you see right here, it shows he made the post March 17, 2026. You see that? And then you go up here, 1W, that stands for 1 week. And there's something else I want to show you too. Now, keeping that 1W in mind, okay? There's a person on Instagram. I'm going to read to you what they post. And this was, I believe, under attorney Ben Crumps. one of his posts. Somebody Evan posted that photo on Sunday, July 5th, okay, at 3:47 p.m. I have the original screenshot and it's time stamped. All right. Now, this person claims they emailed Attorney Crump, they've emailed people, and nobody's responded back to them. I've reached out to this person actually via Instagram just to see, if they're going to tell me, but they haven't responded back or nothing. But this person is saying that they have the original screenshot and it's from July 5th, 3:47 p.m. is when he posted this. So that means if this is correct and you see this one W up here, that it would have been posted around Sunday last week, the Sunday before the July 5th. So if that is the case, then that means this picture with him in the pool is an old picture. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't no pool party that night of July 4th. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying nobody was in the pool. But what I'm saying is this picture is possibly an older picture. Now, I told you this case has a lot of hearsay. Now, this is from, I believe it's the same person that claimed Nolan got into the altercation and was at the pool party. And this person claims that they spoke with Nolan's mom. This is what they say again. They say, "Mother knew, ma'am. I've been told her. Yes, Andrew was trying to keep us quiet and trying to put fear to us because he's bigger than all of us. But I told No, who was Nolan, Mom, that's why the private autopsy was made. But yes, it was a big fight at Evan house at the pool the same night. But yes, Wyatt and Andrew and even was jumping him after Mom threatened to call the cops on everybody to leave her house. Everybody left, but No didn't. He wanted his phone." So this person is saying that his phone was taken at the house. This person's saying that his phone was taken at the house, not the island, but the house. That's what he's saying. All right. "Ma'am, my brother going to get justice. The truth is out. They took him back to the island that Monday morning around 4 a.m. They found him, I think, 8 or 9 a.m. So I can show you the pictures as well. I would tell you to go look at it, but Evan deleted the picture Sunday. All right. So this post was made before the picture was taken out, allegedly. So everything this guy's saying allegedly, like, we don't know. Now, like I said, a lot of things he's saying could make sense, but here's the issue. He's saying he told the mom. So did the mom really know what was going on before she reported him missing? This is what I'm trying to understand. Why isn't this person saying, hey, the pool party was at 10 p.m. The pool party was at 9:30 p.m. Why? We need a time so we could put it together and make sure this is correct.
I just know I've lost my best friend.
This morning, a friend of Nolan Wells, who was with the 18-year-old the day he was last seen alive, is sharing what he says happened during a July 4th boat trip to an isolated barrier island off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Trayston Shepard declined to speak with us on camera because he says he and his friends are getting threats.
We did no wrong here, and we don't understand how we're getting so much hate behind it. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see his life be taken so short.
Shepard addressed this viral video that investigators have been studying. Wells's parents worried it showed their son involved in a confrontation, but Shepard said that's him, not Wells.
That's the video I'm referring to. That's me yelling.
Shepard says he took a boat back from Horn Island in the late afternoon, but Wells stayed behind with a girl he had met.
They met that day, and it was kind of one of those things. It did come off that day that he really did like her, but that was the only time they'd ever hung out was at Horn Island on July 4th.
Investigators believe Wells drowned and say there were no immediate signs of foul play. But there is growing frustration in the community, and his parents are skeptical, telling GMA Wells left his phone behind and they tracked it to one of his friends.
It was showing everywhere the phone had been, I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land.
The sheriff said the parents have not turned over the phone to investigators.
So now we have a friend. When we thought the story didn't get more strange or weird, we have a friend now that decided to throw a wrench in everything from what we thought was going on. So that original video of everybody on the island and the person with the cameras flashing around, and then you hear what we thought, or maybe is Nolan screaming, "Give me my effing phone back." And Ben Crump came on the press conference and said, "We hear Nolan, give me my effing phone back." Now, in the video is worse than the pool picture. The video, if you were just looking at the video, you wouldn't know that's Nolan right there, especially for us that's never don't know. You cannot tell 100%. When you go to court and you're in trial, you point something out, it's got to be 100%. If it's not 100%, that's him, you can't tell it. So we have an arrow that somebody put in the video pointing at this is Nolan, and we all, I guess, thought it was him. And then the friend comes out with an interview today saying, "No, that wasn't Nolan. That was me screaming in the background. I was actually on the boat screaming." So this is from People magazine. Nolan Wells' friend contradicts family's claim about viral video before his death, says, "We did no wrong here." Person's name is, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Tristan Shepard, is sharing his account of Wells' mysterious final hours, defending himself and others on a 4th of July trip in Mississippi. All right. One of the friends who says he was with Nolan Wells during a 4th of July trip to Mississippi's Horn Island before the teen was found dead is now speaking out about some of what he saw, as Wells' family has called for answers about what happened. In an interview that aired Monday, July 13th on Good Morning America, Tristan Shepard told ABC News that he and the other young people who were on the trip have been devastated by Wells' death, while also facing intense public scrutiny in the days since. "I just know I lost my best friend," Shepard said. The interview comes as authorities continue investigating Wells. An 18-year-old football player appeared to vanish from Horn Island after heading there with a group of friends for a boasting celebration on July 4th. Then it tells you where his body was found. It was found 2 days later at the island where his dad apparently searched before. Now it says, while law enforcement has said they believe Wells may have drowned and have not found evidence of foul play, the autopsy, as this video has been recorded, has not came out yet. I know some people think the autopsy says there's been no foul play. That is rumor. What happened is, it tells you right here. All right. Law enforcement has said they believe there's no foul play. What happened was, on the scene, law enforcement is there with somebody who's CSI, a medical examiner. They don't do an autopsy on the spot. They kind of just look. They don't move the body. They kind of look. And now they said they didn't see any foul play because of what they saw, but it wasn't an autopsy. All right. So right here it says they are still awaiting autopsy results and continue to review evidence, including videos and witnesses' statements. Wells' family is doing their own independent probe autopsy. All right. Now it goes on to say, Shepard said, "We did no wrong here. We don't understand how we're getting so much hate behind us." He said, "We're all cared, loved the Nolan. Nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see his life be taken so short." In a separate interview, Shepard also told Rolling Stone that he decided to go public after giving officials his account of what happened because he wanted to push back on rampant speculation surrounding the case. Rolling Stone said two others corroborated Shepard's account. His uncle also spoke with ABC News. "I'm tired of speculation. I'm not being able to talk. It's time for somebody to start speaking up." Shepard told Rolling Stone in an interview published on Sunday, July 12th, I'm not just hurting because of Nolan. I'm also hurting because I call my friends and you can hear it in their voice that they're terrified of what these people will do to them. It's gone completely way too far. I'm going to explain what he's talking about. Both interviews addressed a viral video that Wells' family attorney previously indicated captured their son during a confrontation before his disappearance. Shepard corrected that, saying on Good Morning America that a voice heard shouting in the clip belongs to him. He said, "That's me yelling." He also gave the same account to Rolling Stone, telling the magazine that Wells was not shown in the video. Turning to the group's final hours with Wells, Shepard said on Good Morning America that the teen remained on Horn Island after meeting a young woman earlier that day, while the others returned to the mainland by boat. They met that day, and it's kind of one of those things, Shepard said. He said did come off that day that he really did like her, but that was the only time they ever hung out, was at Horn Island on July 4th. His comments also echo what Ledbetter has previously said. Investigators were told by witnesses that Wells chose to stay behind with the expectation of returning later with another group. However, Wells' family has questioned that account. During an interview on GMA last week, his parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley, said they could not understand why their son would voluntarily separate themselves from friends, saying he had always been taught to stay with the group. All right. So this person comes out and they're basically saying it's a conflict, that they're the ones in the video. It's their voice. They were actually on the boat, and that's not Nolan's voice you're hearing. So now we're like, what do we believe? Do we believe this guy who's giving these interviews at Good Morning America, and then they're saying his testimony aligns with what other witnesses are saying, that he stayed behind with this girl? The girl saying no, allegedly he went with the boys. We know the boys lawyered up, but the girl didn't lawyer up that I know of, unless she's got one now. We know she was cooperating. Now, the one thing we don't know for sure, there's all kind of stuff saying the boys aren't cooperating. We don't know for sure if they've been questioned and how many times they've been questioned. All right. That is something that 99% of the times we are not going to know until somebody gets arrested, or if somebody gets arrested and a discovery comes out. That is the only time we will probably know. And if somebody is charged with lying, because there'll be counts of that, and that will be in the discovery. But nobody knows online, TikTok, Instagram, nobody knows right now if how many times each one of these friends were questioned. We don't know. Now, I do know the mom of one of them, the judge came out and said, hey, cooperating, things like that. We do know that she said that, but we don't know how many times. Because usually what a detective is supposed to do, a lot of times they would question you more than once. And the reason why they do that, they want to see if your stories match up. Because if you're lying, sometimes your story's not going to match up. So they'll question you one day, then they'll come back and question you again a couple days. So could you repeat? Yeah, where were you at? And they won't remind you. They're just going to ask you, and you might slip up. Then if you slip up, so wait, last time you said, and they're going to see what you say. So we don't know. We don't. And speaking of the judge, let me show you what I found. Now, see, everybody talks about her, but I actually wanted to do a background and look at everything about her. Does she work the criminal side? What exactly does she do? So you're probably about to see an exclusive that nobody else has brought to you. So let me show you the background of Ashlee Cole. So this right here is public information, all right, on Judge Ashlee Cole. Professional background and legal expertise. All right. The honorary Ashlee Cole is a judge for the 16th. Now remember this word, okay? 16th. Now I believe it's pronounced Chancery. I'm not sure how you pronounce that word, but I know what the word means. I'm not great at pronouncing words and names, so I'm gonna let you know that now. That's one of my downfalls. I am not pronouncing nobody's name perfect. I'm not pronouncing the word perfect, let alone spell it. But I can tell you what the word means, all right? Court District of Mississippi. She was elected to the bench in 2022. So she has not been a judge long, all right? 1, 2, 3, maybe going on 4 years, depending on when. Now, she defeated the incumbent honorary Tanya Hasbrook, okay? The 16th Chancery includes George, Greene, and Jackson counties. So it looks like it includes 3 counties. Prior to her election, Cole handled family law matters at her own private practice, the Call Law Firm PLLC in Hurley since 2014. Before establishing her law firm, she was a staff attorney for the 16th Chancery District, 2012 to 2013. Cole received a BA in American History from University of Alabama 2009. She then completed a JD at the University of Mississippi School of Law in 2012. While a law student, Cole served as a law clerk at Duggan and Wilkinson in 2011. So I did look up on how to pronounce this. It's Chancery, okay? So Chancery Court, all right? So Chancery, I'm going to show you right now what she deals with. Cases heard in Chancery Court, all right? So she deals with domestic, adoption, alimony, child custody, divorce, property divisions, estates, descents, equity appeals, land issues, all right? So she deals with family matters, family law, pretty much is what she's dealing with. So anything when it comes to the family, divorce, and also probably, land issues and equity, things of that nature. All right. So she really doesn't deal on the criminal side of things. So she's really not going, she's not really half these people aren't going to trial. A lot of these judges right here, they're not going to trial. They're not doing these things. A lot of these things are getting settled separately. All right. So let's take a look at something else. Now, speaking of judge, there's another judge that has came out, and his name is Judge Carlos Moore. He's a former judge out of Mississippi, and I do background checks and everything, but I have to. I can't take your word for it, all right? And I had to see, is this guy really a judge? So I Googled his name, and some videos popped up. He was an attorney, and then a judge, and he also got, I guess he got in trouble for speaking his mind on an issue and he wasn't supposed to. Check this out.
Once the flag is taken down from public property, I would immediately lose that stigmatic injury, and then my blood pressure hopefully will go back to normal or will be controlled by medicine. My EKGs will go back to being normal, and that I will have to take one less pill to sleep at night.
Judge and well-known attorney in our state has been removed from the bench. The Mississippi Supreme Court barred Carlos Moore from serving as a judge. The court fined him $3,000 for what it called willful misconduct that was prejudicial to the administration of justice. The case revolved around comments Moore made on social media over the acquittal of Kyle Rittenhouse. The High Court's ruling also comes just weeks after the Mississippi Bar's Complaint Tribunal suspended the civil rights attorney from practicing for 1 year.
So he is really a judge. Now, there's one thing this man said that I totally agree with. All right? Totally agree with this.
An arrest warrant could be signed by a judge in Mississippi to go after that person that had that phone unlawfully. We know, based on his own words, Nolan Wells' words while he was alive, he did not give whoever had that phone permission to have that phone. So was that theft? Some misdemeanors and felonies that people could be held accountable for. Was there any boating while intoxicated? Who was the captain of the boat? And what did he allow on his boat? If there were any illegal drugs possessed by anyone. Drugs are still illegal in Mississippi, at least they were when I was on the bench.
He said some arrest should have been made. And I'm going to tell you why I agree with this. There's a case that I did, I think last week. Some of y'all might remember this. Marley Kinney, 19 years old, female, out of Kentucky, was out boating. Guys, this case is almost identical to what's going on with Nolan. The only difference is Nolan was black, surrounded by a bunch of white people. Marley Kinney is white, surrounded by all white people that I know of. That's the only difference. But everything else is very similar. She's out boating. She's on a lake. She's got 10 friends on this boat with her, allegedly. She gets off the boat to use the bathroom. Now, to this day, I'm still questioning, like, where's this bathroom at? There's no porta potty. What's going on? She go in the water? That part we really don't know. That's still kind of up in the air. Some people are saying the water, shit, I don't know. But the boat leaves without her or something. Nobody still knows if the boat left without her or if she fell off the back of the boat, and nobody knows. People don't know. They're partying, drinking. But anyways, they go out looking for her. They found her body, I think it was 2 days later, 2 or 3, I can't remember. I have to go back and look, but 2 or 3 days later, they find her body, all right? And here's what makes this interesting. And this is why I bring this case up after what the judge said about the arrest being made. On this case, the one thing that is different is when law enforcement showed up that day, okay? Now, allegedly, the guy who was driving the boat is the one who reported her missing. He also tried going back to look for her, but I guess couldn't find her. But he's the one that reported her missing. Now, when the cops showed up and the cops are questioning him, the cops arrest him, take him to jail. You know what they took him to jail for? Drinking and operating a boat. Operating the boat under the influence. Guys. So I know this judge knows what he's talking about because there's already a case last week. The man is out looking for her and he gets arrested because he's drinking and operating the boat. So who was operating the boat that Nolan was on? Because we all saw the pictures. There's pictures of them holding spritzers in their hand. And we all know they're not of age to drink. So who supplied the spritzers to them? Who bought it? Was there an adult on board? Because some people are saying there's adults on board now. We don't know. It's all speculation. Some people are saying there was. Some people are saying no. So who drove the boat? And then whoever drove the boat, were they doing anything? Were they underage? The evidence is right there in the picture. So can the police make an arrest? Can a judge sign off on that? He said a judge can. So why don't a judge sign off on that? At least arrest him. Now, it doesn't mean the charge is going to stick, but it at least will apply pressure to them. Think about it. Thrown in jail for the day or the night. Hey, we know you know about what's going on. Oh, and do like they do to everybody else. You're looking at life in prison, guy. Yeah, you're looking at life in prison. You ain't got to tell him charges are going to just question him real quick. He's locked up. But it ain't going to happen. You know why it's not going to happen? I can tell you 2 things. Back to the judge. The mom is a judge. She knows the law. She knows what she's doing. Lawyer is going to be in there real quick. Before the kid even says anything, I need to speak with my lawyer. They're going to have to let him leave out the room and let the lawyer come. Lawyer's not going to say nothing, or they're going to get him out of jail. because everything we're dealing with right now is a conflict of interest. We don't know who this judge knows. What I mean by the judge, I mean by Ms. Cole. We don't know who she knows in the legal system. We don't know if she knows any investigators, the ones that are investigating the case. We don't know if she knows, even though I read you her credentials and showed you it's family court basically. We don't know if she's friends with any of the judges on the criminal side. We don't know if she's friends with the prosecution on the criminal side. Prosecutions are the ones that bring the hammer. It's not really the detectives, it's the prosecution. Detectives gather all the evidence and they give it to the prosecution. Then the prosecution is the one that goes through all the evidence and this is the charge, that's the charge, and puts the story together. So what if she knows some of the prosecution that's on the criminal side? We don't know. Conflict of interest. Because what if she does know? This whole case would have to go move to a different county. It would have to. First of all, the jury that they're going to pick from could be potential people that was in her courtroom fighting over custody over their kids, fighting over a will over a grandma that passed away, fighting over a land deed. The name could hold some sort of power. We don't know. It would have to be out of that jurisdiction, out of that county, to a place where nobody knows them. Far as we know, it could be somebody on that jury like, oh, I gotta make sure this kid's not guilty because I might be in her courtroom in 6 months for this child custody battle. So we don't know. It's all a conflict of interest. But you guys let me know what you think. I figure I'll bring you the photo, break it down, show you guys where this photo came from, probably how long ago it was posted as well. Now, the one thing I want to share with you real quick is that interview with the friend, they really don't say everything. So I want to say what this, let you know what this says right here, okay? From Mr. Shepard, all right? So another thing he said during that interview is after he says we would die for him, you know, they're boys and everything else, right? It says Shepard addressed misinformation connecting to the suspicions around Wells' friends having his phone when his body was found. He explained that it was very common for teens to leave their phones in boats while on Horn Island. Listen to this. This is something they're not telling you in the big media. This is what this kid says. All our friends are out there. Who are we communicating with? We're all out there. When Nolan got in the water, he put his phone on the boat dash. Also, with probably 15 other phones, he said. At that point, Shepard's uncle reportedly noted that it was common for boats to be brought to the mainland with phones that would later be retrieved by the teens. That's not uncommon. I've even gotten home and had phones on my deck. I didn't know whose they were. They came and get their phones later. Out there, they can give a care less about their phone. They get up in the boat, take a picture, set it down, get back in the water. Additionally, Shepard addressed a now viral photo, which is being speculated as part of Nolan Xavier's final moments. Okay? And this is the photo we talked about earlier. The image was initially shared on Instagram and captioned Summer 2026. It was posted by attorney Ben Crump, alongside a caption that read, repost from channel, and it tells you who it was. I don't know if these are facts or rumors because no official statements have been made, confirmed. We sometimes have to follow all clues until the truth is found. Here's what we discovered on social media last night. Social media allegations claim a photo exists of Nolan at a land-based pool party in Jackson County before 1 a.m. on July 5th. Now, watch this. Shepard says that photo was taken on June 27th in nearby pass, Christian, Mississippi. Now, I showed you guys earlier about the 1W. And I said that it could have been possibly, you know, a picture a week before then. So let's see A week before then would have been, guess what? June 27th. That lines up with what this guy's saying. Then he goes on to say, Ting says Ben Crump is taking advantage of his parents. As their interview went on, Trayston Shepard shifted his focus to attorney Crump. Per the outlet, he is upset by the suggestion from Crump that race may have played a role in Wells' death. Furthermore, he and his friends have now become targets. They're trying to spin a narrative that's not there. He's wrong, Shepard said, before adding, I understand Wells' parents are grieving. I really think he's taken a bit of advantage of that, and I don't like that. I really don't, because they're vulnerable. And let us all remember him as the sweet guy he was, and not something we're scared of because of the trauma we've had. If Ben Crump is doing his own investigation, let him do it, and then let the sheriff's office conclude their investigation and figure out what facts are on their end. Let us all just know the truth instead of jumping to two conclusions about things. Shepard reiterated that everyone loved Wells and nobody wanted to see him die. Nobody wanted his life taken so short he had everything to go for him. And then it goes on to say what we read earlier about what happened at the island. So guys, why didn't they show us the full interview? Why are they not showing us the full interview of what this kid said? Why are we only get bits and pieces? Why was this cut out? Why did I have to dig through about 12 articles to come to get this one? To try and find, I still can't find the exact full interview. I'm not saying he's telling the truth. I'm not saying that. I am saying the picture lines up with what I told you guys earlier, doing my own investigation. It lines up. This is how you can tell when somebody's lying or not. Doing an investigation of the facts that you do have. That's something I do. I do it all the time. I try my best to. The other guy who's saying no was beat up at the party, I don't know yet. Because something he's saying is not aligning with what the mom said at the press conference. So unless the mom reported him missing and she knew something happened with him, but they're not saying that, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. But what he's saying is not aligning. So do you guys get what I'm saying? Now, I don't know exactly what happened to Nolan. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you what exactly happened to Nolan because I don't know. For those of you that's been following my channel, I always look at both sides. See, here's the thing, guys. When you watch people like Nancy Grace, I love Nancy Grace. She's one of my favorites. She is. I learn a lot from her. But one thing about Nancy I know for a fact is she was a former prosecutor. So when she gets on her show, she gives you cases from a prosecution's lens. This is why she's so hard on the suspects. You mean to tell me he didn't do it? That's how she's giving you a prosecution advantage, lens, an eye perspective, and pretty much an aggressive format. Then when you watch another program, all right, and they might bring on a defense attorney. If you notice, the defense attorney never ever really will side with what the prosecution says. Think about that, guys. They never do. Why? Would you hire a defense attorney that just got on the news last night? Like, yeah, he's guilty. Yeah, he's guilty. Would you hire it? No, you're not. So a defense attorney that's still practicing, hell, nah. And then you have the judge in the courtroom. The judge knows the law just as well as the defense attorney and just as well as the prosecution. But what is the judge supposed to be? The judge is supposed to be fair. The judge is not supposed to have a tunnel vision here or a tunnel vision there. This is why prosecutions or prosecutors sometimes will get the wrong person convicted. They get evidence from the investigator and they just zero in on this evidence that the investigator gave them, and they just zero in on that suspect. That's it. Case closed. Let's get him. but they don't have the open view of could be this guy. That's what happens. All right. So when you watch my channel, I try and give you a fair view. I'm not looking just here. I'm looking there. I'm looking there. I did a background check on Nolan Wells. How many of you guys did? I ran a criminal report on him, and guess what came back? He is a good kid. I did a background check on all the rest of them that I know the names of, and guess what? They all are pretty good. I didn't see anything. Maybe a couple traffic tickets. I saw nothing major in there whatsoever. Because that's what I do. I want to see from both sides. Now, honestly, I don't know what happened to Nolan. Do I think maybe the friends might know something, but they're not saying something? Possibly. Could it have been an accident some sort of way? Possibly. Some people think they took Nolan to the island to do something. I don't think that, because there's way too many people out there. Why would you, if you're going to take somebody to go do something to them, why would you take them to the most busiest place on 4th of July to do something to them with all these witnesses? That I don't know. But who knows? I will tell you another thing. I've got emails from pretty much both sides. How this person right here in the article said people will leave their phones on boats. I've got a couple emails that said that backs that up, that people will leave their phones on boats. Some people don't have reception depending on what cell phone. This is why we get conflicts right here. Because some people are saying there's no cell phone, there is. Depending on what cell phone service you have, you might have some reception, and then others you might not have. Now that I can believe. I got AT&T, and sometimes I can get cell phone service that T-Mobile ain't got. It's just the facts, and that's why I have AT&T. But I can believe that. Then I got an email from somebody saying, oh, I saw him. I saw him get on the boat. I was there. Then after communicating with the person's like, yeah, I was there. I was there. I remember because I was texting such and such. Me and my friends were shooting this video. Then I asked the person to send me a video what they were shooting. Crickets. So I don't know what to believe, guys. But I do know I'm trying to get into the facts of everything for you, so you can make a decision. And what do you think? Do I think one of them might know something? Yeah, they probably do. Do I think somebody might be covering something up? Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, if somebody got arrested over what happened with Nolan, I wouldn't be shocked. But I need timelines. If there was a pool party that night, what time was this party at? Exactly what time did they get back to shore? What time did they even leave to go to the island? What time did the Life 360 say? Because when you go in Life, I have Life 360 on my phone. I know exactly how it works. It shows you the time you were at a place, and it shows you how long you were there. It shows you all that. Now, we don't have to know this. No, they don't have to give this to us, but it would help with the speculation. But you guys let me know what you think below. Comment below. What do you think of the information I gave you guys tonight? Please like, subscribe. All right? If you still think the kids did it, let me know. Even if you think it was an accident on purpose, let me know. Let the world know what you think. If you think Nolan was something he drowned, let me know. One email told me it could have been like the Marley incident I told you about. He could have went into the water to use the bathroom. There's no porta potties on the island. I never thought about that. No porta potties on the island. You got to go out there to the waters up to here and you use the bathroom. He said, hey, everybody does it, but you go way out there. You could have been drunk, lost, slipping, and drowned. We don't know. So could be a possibility. I don't know. But you guys let me think, or let me know. There's a lot of theories floating around, guys, and there's a lot of lies, a lot of everything, and it's hard to get to it. Please like, subscribe. We are almost at 30,000 subscribers. Look, my goal was to get to 30,000 subscribers by the end of the summer. And guess what? I'm probably going to get there by the end of the week. And the summer's not even over with. I am one of the fastest growing channels on YouTube. Let me show you guys what I got so you can see one of the fastest growing channels in the true crime sector. 81,000 weekly views. You're in the top 25% of creators. So please come join the community. Come join. If you can, purchase the membership. If you can't, just subscribe. It's going to help me get to this channel to the goal that I want to get to full time and make Fugitive TV one of the biggest channels that you see. All right. That is my whole goal with this. So thank you for tuning in. Love one another. Take care of one another. Respect one another. Use conflict resolution skills. All right. Until next time, I'm out.